Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The Black Ops 6 beta is back with some interesting Rostermania questions going down last night with Scrap and HyDra spotted teaming up in the beta. Is this anything to do with what might be the case next season on Cloud9 per the current rumours? And also Nadeshot maybe with a little bit of a Freudian slip as to what's going on with Scrap on that Toronto team, potentially implying a deal is done somewhere for Scrappy to leave that organisation. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Here's aBeZy, by the way, absolutely living life. And I'm kind of surprised, but maybe not surprised, that this has been such a big story, really, because, like, Pred has been on an absolute world tour, right? And to be fair, he won champs this year, right? And is doing the world tour. He also didn't win champs last year, but he still did a world tour last year as well after the world championship was over. And to be fair to Pred, I think this is absolute class. And I guess the reason why people are talking about it so much is because most pros don't tend to do this stuff, right? Champs is over, they'll go back, they'll chill for a bit at home, then they'll, you know, turn the stream on and play. And that's fair enough, you know, you can make good money streaming, and it's not like, you know, Pred's going to be down a lot of money doing this, but it's money that I'm absolutely convinced is going to be well spent when he looks back on his life, because, you know, as Maniac's talking about, Pred's on an absolute movie, like, complete world tour vacation over the last couple of days. Even Jake Lucky was kind of talking about where he'd been over the last couple of months or so. He was in Riyadh, then he went, I think, to Dubai, then he was in Spain for a little while, now I think he's in Italy. I mean, this certainly looks like Italy to me, so, you know, he's all over the shop, isn't he? And it's pretty great to see. I know there was lots of talk about this just because a lot of pro players don't tend to do this, and obviously aBeZy is absolutely living life, and you know, why shouldn't he, right? I think it's actually pretty damn cool. And also, I'll always respect someone who takes like what I'd consider to be kind of like a real holiday, actually doing stuff rather than just sitting on a beach, but you know, maybe that's a hot take from me. Not really though, in my opinion. Quickly on Doug sent to Martin, today is the day. He confirmed back in August that it's going to be the 7th of September, which is today, that he's going to be attempting to break the Guinness World Records for the most pull-ups in 24 hours. He's been training for this for so long now, Doug, and I feel like whatever you think of Doug, you've got to give him so much credit for the discipline and, you know, the mental fortitude required to actually even get close to being able to try for something like this, let alone being physically capable of actually doing so. So that day is today, and he confirmed yesterday that it's today at 11 AM Eastern that he's going to be attempting to break the world records. The number to beat is like nearly 9,000, which is completely absurd. As I mentioned a couple of times, I think when David Goggins broke this record and made it kind of like a famous record, the number was like 4,000 in that kind of ballpark. The number is now over double that. Jackson Italiano, by the way, the coach of Doug, he actually broke the record at some point at like 8,000 or so. Now it's even more than that. So for Jackson to be coaching Doug, he's got to think that it's possible, right, for Doug to do it. And look, we'll see how he gets on, whether he breaks it or not. I mean, like, it's going to be an incredible accomplishment either way. And absolutely wishing the best for Doug in his intention to achieve that just today. The beta is back. This is the Tanto, this kind of new gun that's out. I don't know if this gun, just the way that it kind of, you know, the fire rate and the way that it looks and feels is really going to be one of the ones that they actually use in competitive, but it is pretty damn good. We know the Jackal has now been marginally nerfed. The Jackal is still strong for sure in the second weekend of the beta, maybe isn't quite what it was, and here's Scumpy absolutely putting in work. I just think Scump's playstyle, like, it's so good for pubs, and you can actually tell, I think, watching this, that it's like a Scump POV. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like, he uses the movement, sure, but it's really all about positioning and you know, holding his pre-aims, and it's just like such a Scump way to play the game that's just so effective, right? Like, if you want to learn how to play pubs that absolutely dominate, Scump is the man to watch, really, because, you know, no one on the planet, apart from really HyDra and Shotzzy, are able to do what HyDra and Shotzzy do from a movement perspective. If you want to learn how to play great efficient Call of Duty, Scump is always the man to try and look at and to watch. Let's talk Rostermania though. Exceed was, I mean, look, Exceed can't catch a break, but it is pretty funny. He did tweet out that over the last couple of years, so many of his teammates have been into the league, which, to be fair, Exceed was also in the league, right? When he was on that Gorillas team. And yeah, Gorillas weren't great. I talked yesterday about how, well, JoeDeceives was on that team and he was good, but he wasn't as good as he was on Thieves this year, so was that really his rookie year? Well, yeah, it was. I mean, he played a whole year on Grillers, it can't not be his rookie year. But, you know, nonetheless, when Xi was on the roster, it wasn't for the best, and unfortunately for him, he's constantly getting Cloud9 right, but it is what it is. But let's talk about Rostermania on the wider picture, just because, to be honest, by now, given the World Cup ended quite a while ago, I was expecting more to have happened. We've heard a number of rumours, and there will be serious things happening in this roster period, right? Teams will be changing their rosters, there's no doubt about it, they already have. What usually happens, though, is that the top teams, they get things sorted, and then everything else trickles down. So Jake Hell says we might even get GTA 6 before Rostermania really starts, but Stocksman says be patient. So he must be hearing from somebody, maybe Lamar, I don't know, that things are going on, and as a result, Lamar, of course, being accuracy, right, his cousin, and, you know, with any luck, things are going to happen relatively soon. Maybe certain people need to hurry up, Ace. And I don't know who he's exactly talking about there. But we are in, you know, nearly the second weekend of September at this point, second week of September. The game comes out at the end of October, and still we don't really know anything in terms of what some of these top rosters are going to be for next season. A couple of hints, though, have happened over the last couple of days, and whether these mean anything or not, that's for you to decide in the comment section below. But Scrappy was live on Twitch last night, already max level, and it was spotted, of course, that he was playing with none other than HyDra. So, does this mean anything? I guess we shall discuss it. The big rumour at the moment is that the Cloud9 team have decided that after getting rid of Sib, we saw that drama over the last couple of days, they are targeting Scrap with absolutely every tool they have in the arsenal. Buyouts will start to come through, offers will go to Toronto, and Scrap said on stream the other day that he feels like it's highly unlikely, well, he said it's impossible that that entire Toronto team of 4 stays together for next year, so seems like Envoy is going to be going elsewhere potentially as well, and maybe Scrappy will be following suit. As I said on the Dope Check show just after ReeaL, in my opinion, Scrap and HyDra, given their ambitions in COD, they needed to team up this off-season, and you know, it seems like that's more likely to happen on Cloud9 than it is on Toronto. Of course, as I said yesterday, if you are going to pay this money for Scrap, which it seems like Cloud9 might be willing to do, will they have enough money to also upgrade on Kismet or to upgrade on Skyz? Either of those things are difficult to do. There's only a couple of players you could target with the intention of achieving that, but that is how it currently stands. And if they're not bringing back ReeaL as one of their coaches, that saves them a bit of money as well. So Scrap and HyDra playing the beta together, and arguably they would be, from an AR SMG perspective, the most talented AR SMG duo in the entire game, which is obviously a difficult statement to make because you've got Dashy Shotzzy, for example. I mean, you can even say Dashy Pred, or, you know, whatever you want to say. Kenny's obviously great as well. And on FaZe, you've got the likes of Simp, for example. But Scrap HyDra is potentially different gravy based on what we've seen over the last couple of years, and, well, I'm sure they could work pretty impeccably well together. HyDra's POV as well is just unbelievably good to watch. I mean, Shotzzy, we know how good he is, but HyDra just, like, the combination of his movement, his positioning, and his, like, gun skill and his aim, I don't know if I've ever seen a POV quite like HyDra, to be honest, and we've seen what that results in terms of KD and results in the Call of Duty League over the last couple of seasons. So, look, Scrap and Paco may be baiting everyone a little bit here and saying, oh, maybe we'll just duo up and make people talk about it, but at the same time, it's not exactly implausible, is it? The Scrap and HyDra team up next year, it was a talking point during the regular season, and certainly now that Cloud9 seem to be opening the wallet to try and get Scrappy off Toronto. Now, to be fair, we've seen this before, where Toronto are open to a potential sale, and then when push comes to shove, they say, actually, you know, we're not going to bother with that. We're going to keep Scrap on our team. But it does seem like Toronto are willing to come to some sort of agreement here. And it seems like Nadeshot may, or may not, know something about that. So in this clip here with Octane Stream, we can hear Nadeshot in the background talking about Scrap and the situation over there, roasting Toronto a bit. But he actually, you know, the wording he uses here precisely is a little bit interesting when he quite clearly says Scrap played for Toronto rather than Scrap plays for Toronto.
Scrap's at Jersey Shore right now, jumping on roller coasters and shit.
The thing is, Scrap played for Toronto Ultra, and it's like, yeah, it'd be nice if, I'm sure, for the 20 people that support that team if they won. But over here, there's pressure. There's pressure.
Is that right?
We're expected to win. You know what I mean?
Dang.
Scrap played for Toronto Ultra, and
So of course this might be nothing, but this might be something, and as Jake Maverick here points out, that, you know, Nadeshot did say played for Toronto, and Nadeshot, you'd imagine, knowing what's happening behind the scenes right now, you would well think, might have some sort of understanding as to what that can actually look like. So is there anything to this? Very interesting if there is, because does that mean that Thieves are also in that conversation as well? Because we know that the Los Angeles Thieves are making changes. We saw just yesterday that it's now, you know, Nastie and Kremp. That's the Los Angeles Thieves Twitter @ in their bio is gone. And here they are, potentially as restricted or unrestricted free agents for these guys going into next season. And we are pretty convinced that they have been in discussions with Envoy to replace Kremp, and presumably they've been in discussions with the likes of Sib to replace Nastie. But of course, if Scrappy's available, then why not go for that as well? I mean, why not absolutely reach for the stars at that point? Like, if you are Thieves and you're spending more money this offseason to try and form the most competitive roster you can, getting rid of Nastie, getting rid of Kremp with the intention to do so, even though, of course, those guys were crucial components to their great run towards the end of the season at Champs and the World Cup. You know, you could get Ghosty, Sib, Envoy, JoeDeceives or something. That's a very good team. But, you know, Scrap is better than Sib, more consistent than Sib, more impactful than Sib, maybe a better teammate than Sib, whatever you want to say based on what we've discussed over the last couple of days. And if you're going to be spending money anyway to make that happen, right? I mean, Cloud9 are going to want some money for Sib. So if you're spending cash anyway, why not, you know, try and get Scrappy as well? And it would be incredible, to be honest, if Cloud9 miss out on Scrappy for whatever reason and Thieves get him. But I guess if you're Thieves, ideally you'd probably want Scrap and Envoy. Both of those two guys actually seemed pretty damn tight at the end of the season. You know, they were together at the airport in ReeaL after the World Cup. We saw, I think it was an Envoy story, maybe those boys vibing out in business on the flight back to the US after, or maybe to Toronto, whatever, after the events that they had at the World Cup in ReeaL, of course. So seems like Scrap and Envoy, a bit of a duo at the moment, in the same way that CleanX Insight, bit of a duo. So, you know, could they go somewhere together, whether that be Cloud9, whether that be the Los Angeles Thieves? So, you know, is that interesting from Nadeshot that he says played for Toronto? There is a general feeling that probably Scrap's time on Toronto is going to come to an end, but if he's going to go anywhere, Cloud9 seem the most likely, the New York team effectively, or Thieves are not out of the realms of possibility either. And as we said before, if you're OpTic, if you're FaZe seeing this, do you want to step in as well and try and do something about that to prevent some really impressive teams being formed out there? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I guess the current most likely possibility is that, you know, Scrap ends up on Cloud9 and Envoy probably ends up on Thieves, but maybe both could happen, and maybe Nadeshot knows something or two about that. Just to close out the video with, these are some of the players that only played for a single stage. There wasn't enough really to do a proper LAN card here. One stage only players, Major Maniac, Eric, GodRx, Journey, Pentagrxm, not the best numbers, but you know, two guys that had pretty decent stages were iLLeY and Cap. I mean, iLLeY, had he been, you know, fit and healthy, let's say, to be able to compete for the rest of the season, would arguably have been the perfect piece for not only that Seattle team, but other teams as well. iLLeY, no doubt, is going to be in the conversation to get back on a team this year. Obviously, he's a free agent, completely unrestricted, going into the new season. But also Cap still, right? I mean, he was on Boston for a stage. They got rid of him. They could have chosen what they wanted to do with, you know, the Snoopy situation with Cap as well. They dropped Cap in the end for a seam. That didn't really work out, of course. So, but look, Cap's Search and Destroy was pretty damn good. And of always, this has been the case, to be fair, for the last couple of years, Cap has been one of the more impactful SMG players when he's on form. Even Thieves considered him, right, for some time. I think during MW2, when they were looking, you know, he actually played for them right as a substitute briefly when they were kind of discussing options there. So Cap's still another name to certainly keep in mind when the new season begins. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Let's go.
What are your overall thoughts, Porter? You like it?
Dude, the beta's like, okay, everything in my brain is telling me these maps are dog shit, but
you're still having fun.
But it's fun.
It is
because you're sliding really far.
And tell me why the Black Ops 6 game overall just copied XDefiant's whole fucking flow, dog.
Crazy,
There it is. It's lit, Pat. It's your game, but better. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, they've had 20 years to make it, so that makes sense, Grim, that they have better netcode.
That was a low blow, Grim. You know what's going on there.
Low blow.